You need a smile? Come and cook with me. Today, we're going to make salsicce fagioli, sausage and beans. So simple, so good. Orecchiette pasta with broccoli. Healthy, great, fantastic. Insalata alla Siciliana, Sicilian salad, featuring oranges and olives. And learn how our food is connected to the memories of our past. Come for the recipes. Stay for the story. Salsicce is the Italian name for sausages. I love the way they taste to begin with, but to me, sausages also has something to do with the fact that my father always had these incredible butchers in town that would make the special mix of spices different from everyone else. They always wanted to go. We had a cousin in the town of Alcamo. My father would take me driving with him 2 hours just to go and get the sausages from our cousin in Alcamo. Maybe it's because he was family, or maybe it's because he was really good. But I think that what I relate to sausages is the time that I spent with my dad and this ambition that I had together with my dad of finding the ultimate sausage. So when I say sausage, I think of something dreamy, something beautiful, something unique, something that connects me to my youth in the best possible way, the time that I spent with my dad. Salsiccia fagioli. What does that mean? Sausage and beans. There's not a country in the world that does not have their own favorite recipe of how to make sausage and beans. This is my recipe, Italian style. It's very simple, it only gets done in a single pot, and it tastes fantastic. Let me show you how to make it. First and foremost, you go with extra virgin olive oil. But while the oil gets to temperature, we're gonna cut salsicciotti. Very simple, single sausage, quick karate chop right here in the middle, just so that you have it like this, and then gently you twist it until it becomes like this, and then with a sharp knife, and here you are. The first thing we're gonna do is to brown our sausages. I like to add them into the hot oil at the very beginning. One at a time, by the way. Do not dump them in because the oil will splash back. It will hurt you. I know, it's happened to me before. Why are we doing this? Very simply, primarily what I want to do is to brown them on the outside, but also I want to ensure that they maintain their particular shape. By browning like this, you do several things. All the spices, the flavors which are inside of the sausages are starting to become alive, and quickly they're going to start to leak out together with the other ingredients that we will add on, giving the super flavor that the sausages do. You don't need to blacken them out completely. All that you need to do is to give it enough just so that they brown and they keep their shape. We got the sausages just slightly brown. Remember, they're still raw on the inside. Now I'm gonna take them out of the pan because in the same pan where the juices and the oil from the sausages are leaked out, we're gonna be cooking our ingredients. Why do we do that? We wanna make sure that all the flavors come together. The first addition we're going to do is garlic, and here it goes. Look at this baby. Beautiful, I love it. Garlic, as you can see, is cut thick. Extremely important to cut it thick because it's gonna be a long braising process. If you were to chop it, the garlic would burn. When you cook it now, you wanna lower the heat and bring it to medium so that all the ingredients will gently brown, but they will not burn. Together with the garlic, the next thing we're going to do is add the onions. The onions that we add are known in this particular cut as la grossolana. Alla grossolana means done without refinement. Yet I believe that the onions cut in this fashion, wide dice, fairly wide, even if uneven, have within themselves the ability of absorbing the flavors even better. And in their country style look, which is this look that I'm imposing in this case, while they might lose on the elegance, they pick up in extra flavor. But what is the extra flavor? Well, here we go. Some fresh rosemary, lightly chopped. And together with the rosemary, the next thing that we're going to do is add the sage. Why do we put him so early into the process? I'm of the opinion that when it comes to fresh spices like this, by cooking them into the pan the way that we're doing right now, one of the things that we are achieving, we're allowing them to release their flavor, their oil into the base. And it opens them up, it makes them like bloom, blossom. Now we'll put back the sausages into the pan. We increase the heat a little bit. I wish there was a way in technology today to let you share into this flavor. It's splendid, especially the rosemary, the sage. They're becoming alive, they're opening up. The next thing that we're going to do is the addition of wine. White wine. And cooking on high heat, what we want to do is reduce the wine as much as possible. This process is very important. And the reason why it's important is because the wine right now it's imbuing the sausages, also bringing down some of the heat. And as it reduces, it gives us the very base, the very beginning of the sauce. Look at the big white bubbles that you see right there. These white bubbles are air that is evaporating, going down to the essential juices, which is truly the sauce that will guide us through the whole dish. This is the part where I get hypnotized and somewhat enthralled into what I do. The sauce is coming down just right. The next thing that we want to do is a very important addition, and that is the addition of tomato sauce. But the next addition that I'm making is the one that I want you to be very attentive. This is not chicken stock. This is the water in which we have cooked the beans. Why do we use this? First and foremost, the water is very, very thick. There is an enormous amount of flavor in it. And also, as it cooks together with the tomato sauce, it not only makes the sauce far thicker, but all the suspended bits of beans that are trapped into the sauce right now will pick up the flavor of all the elements that we have in the pan, giving us this wonderful combination, not only of the beans, the sausages, the onion, the garlic, the rosemary, and the sage. But they come together, how can I say this, notes in a wonderful harmony. And here is the coup de grace, the last touch, which is cannellini beans. I would like for you to look at the beans not just as an addition of an ingredient, but look at these beans as sponges, if you could imagine that. Sponges that are ready to absorb flavor. This wonderful flavor that comes from the mixture of spices in the sausage. By the way, the sausage that I always prefer to use are spicy Italian sausages. What the beans will do, will start to pick up the flavor of everything. They themselves, just having their own flavor, but suddenly finding the strength. And what happens to the beans is that they will command extreme respect, to the point that we'll be rivaling against the sausages for the most excellent flavor. You will see what I mean in just a second. First, we're gonna bring this up to a boil. Once the mixture reaches a boil, the next thing that we want to do is to reduce it by bringing it down to a simmer. On a simmer, it will take us anywhere between 25 to 40 minutes, depending on the amount of liquid that you have on the inside. You could do this in less than 10 minutes if it was to blast it on high heat. But what would the disadvantage be? The disadvantage would be, as for all things that you do in a rush, you negate the beauty of the slow development of a thought, of an idea, of a recipe that becomes its own, in its own time, allowing all the ingredients to express the beauty that they are. I know, maybe it's a bit too poetic, but trust me when I tell you, if you let it simmer, the flavor will be much better. I don't know what it is, but I look at these beans, the sausages, the way reduced so perfectly. You have no idea how full of flavor these beans are. It's good to step back for a moment and say to yourself, I can cook. And yes, you can. This is such an easy dish to make. Let me show you how to plate it. So here we go. First, I lay down the sausages, whichever order. There's nothing to be too fancy schmancy about it. Just put them down. There you are. And here's as far as the sausages are concerned. The next thing we're gonna do is the beans. Trust me when I tell you, these are the real star. When I put down these beans, I remember myself as a little boy in my grandma's house. I said, nonna, nonna, facci fagioli e l'uccelletto con le salsicce, nonna, con le salsicce. Which my grandma would laugh. Just so that you know what that means, I just said to my grandma, nonna, please, make us the sausages with the beans e l'uccelletto. And there you are, salsicce e fagioli. When I was a little boy, I was particularly unruly, and I went to a private school run by the nuns. Apparently, I was more unruly than the other boys, and I deserved some kind of disciplining. The kind of discipline that I got amongst various other forms was one in which I was forced to drink broccoli water. It was not for me something that I enjoyed. As a matter of fact, the smell, the aroma of broccoli for so long was so offensive to me that it wasn't until my early 30s when I started to eat broccoli again. But by the time I discovered broccoli, I discovered a whole new reality. Orecchiette con broccoli e salsiccia. Orecchiette by itself in Italian means little ears and is a unique type of pasta that is made that is, in my opinion, a perfect combination for the recipe that we have today. And then broccoli. Why broccoli with pasta? Why? Well, you have to see it from my mom's point of view. My brother and I, we were not particularly easy growing up. I mean, I think that, especially me, I was somewhat of a difficult child. And broccoli, I wanted nothing to do with it. My mom came up with a good idea of mixing broccoli and sausage together. Who knows, maybe I'll make a broccoli lover out of you. We start first and foremost with the olive oil nice and hot. We add some red pepper flakes just to make it super spicy. Did my mom do this? Yes. Do I still do it? Yes. Do I make it spicier than her? No. She's much older than me, but you will be amazed how spicy she can go with her food. She's something else. Once this gets nice and hot, the next thing that you want to do is to add a little bit of garlic. What I usually like to do is to cut it nice and thick so that the garlic eventually will come to nice temperature into the oil and give us exactly what we want. As soon as the garlic starts to sizzle, I would like to add chopped white onions. I find this particular addition to be something extremely important that always adds great flavor to a sauce. A base, in my opinion, is like the structure that supports the building that the recipe itself is. The one thing that I love the most at this point is the adding of the sausage. I've taken the sausage out of the casing. It's an Italian-style sausage, and it is at this point that with the back of a spoon, you want to break it down. Break it down so they become small. As you can see from the color of the sausage that I've used, is a spicy Italian sausage. Now, I am forbidden in my house to use spicy Italian sausage and Romano cheese. And that is why, as a sign of extreme revival of the old-fashioned flavors that I grew up with, I'm gonna make spicy sausage. And I'm gonna use Romano cheese to finish this particular dish. You should get your own cooking show. This way you get to cook the way you want it, when you want to, at least once in your life. The next thing that we're going to do, I have broccoli florets that I have parboiled already. These broccoli florets, I cooked them for about, I would say, 3 minutes in the water, just so that they pick up a little bit of sturdiness, and then when they saute, they maintain their own structure in it. If you don't like broccoli, another thing that you can do is use cauliflower. If you like both broccoli and cauliflower and you want to try something different, there is a type of broccoli called broccoli rape, broccoli rape, rapini also known as. They are wonderful. You notice that so far I have added no salt and no pepper. The reason for that is that we have plenty of salt and pepper within the flavoring of the sausage itself. If I was to add some more at this point, I would overtake it completely to the other side. Next, chicken stock. I'm gonna bring this to a boil, and then we're gonna let it simmer for about 8 minutes or so that all the flavors mingle together. The flavors are plainly overtaken at this point by the presence of the sausage, but don't discount the broccoli. The broccoli, in this fashion, is picking up the broth, is picking up the juices from the sausages, is picking up this wonderful rendition given by the base, which is the garlic and the onion itself. With every bite that you take, you will feel a relevant presence of each one of these ingredients that we put in. Why am I so excited about it? I want you to see this when you cook this at home for yourself, understanding how the flavors all come to a party as separate people invited, and then by the end of the evening, they're all dancing together. They're laughing, they're joyful. At the very moment is the definition, the marker of something extremely successful in the making of a sauce. You must think that way to achieve the best of what you do. The kind of pasta that I like is called orecchiette, which means small ears. Orecchiette by nature are quite a texture. So what I've done in this particular case, I slightly undercooked the orecchiette. The reason for me to do that is that I want the orecchiette to finish their cooking in the sauce. What you will notice is when the sauce is finished, a great deal of this liquid that you see in here will have been absorbed by the pasta. This is the true way on how to give to the orecchiette the flavor, what they need to make this dish completed. But I have one more trick up my sleeve, and I must show you what that is. This is breadcrumb, Italian-style breadcrumb. What we have done, we have toasted them. How we've toasted them? This pan, I made it really, really, really hot. Then I turn off the heat from underneath, and I added the breadcrumbs. As soon as the breadcrumbs hit the pan, I shake it a couple of times. This is an addition that we will add that is a truly, how could we say, farmer-like finish to it. Meaning it's a way to add extra texture, extra flavor to a dish that otherwise would come out too wet. It dries it out, and you will notice as I added how it absorbs some of the extra sauce, but together mingled with some of the Romano cheese is an exchange of flavors that really takes you little by little to the other side, the side where everything is beautiful, is splendid, where the oceans are full of fishes, and where life is full of smiles. As you can see now, most of the liquid has been absorbed. You can also see the pasta still maintaining its wonderful texture. This is exactly where we want to take it. So the addition now is twofold. The first thing that I do, I add the breadcrumbs, the toasted breadcrumbs. I turn off the heat from underneath. And the breadcrumbs already thicken everything up. They absorb the sauce, they stick it to themselves, they stick to the pasta, they create a saucy-like finish on the dense side. And here is the next thing that I love to do. While they're in there, Romano cheese. Plenty of Romano cheese. The important thing is to make sure that there is no heat from underneath. Otherwise, unless you have a non-stick pan like I do, the Romano cheese will stick at the bottom of the pan. And here you are. This is the sauce, the pasta, all the ingredients together exactly the way I want it. Now, let's plate it. I like the thickening that the breadcrumbs put to this pasta. To me, adds on to it. If you don't like this finish, then don't add the breadcrumbs, but you will be making a mistake, because one of the things the breadcrumbs also do, that you're seeing right here, they absorb all these flavors in a splendiferous way. A little bit of broccoli on the top, just to tell everybody that this is a healthy dish. The next thing that's important is to actually cover it with cheese. The Romano cheese that goes both inside the melting of the sauce and on top of it is an extra element that makes this sing. Orecchiette with sausage and broccoli. And this is the way to land. Salads are not part of the fondest memory of my youth. If it was green, I didn't like it. Also, the fact that my mom was not truly creative when it came to making dressing for the salads. I have this image of my father and I, when my father came to visit me for the first time in America, and I took him to a steakhouse. I don't know if you guys remember, in those days, they used to have these enormous salad bars with all sorts of different dressing of every color, every accoutrement that you could possibly imagine to put right on top of that. And I remember seeing my father playing like a little boy in the steakhouse, not even caring about the steak and just putting together these amazing salads. I think that there was a moment in our life as a Stellino family where the importance of salad changed. Because when my father returned, he started to develop a great deal of new interesting dressings. And my mom started to use different types of salads to put in. So what was formerly not a favorite in the Stellino household became for us something that we love to experiment with. Insalata alla Siciliana. It's salad, Sicilian style. But what makes the salad interesting? What I love about the salad is that it mixes fruit and bitter greens. Bitter greens are very common in Sicily, and it's something that over the years my family always tried to teach me how to eat. But it didn't really work out until they were able to mix actually wonderful orange supremes with olives, radicchio, and fennel. Let me show you exactly to make a salad which is totally unexpected. But what makes the salad so interesting, first and foremost, is the ingredients. Let me show you what I mean. We have in here fennel. What we've done with this fennel, we have sliced it thinly. And when we slice the fennel, one of the things you want to make sure is that the top layer of it, you get rid of it. Usually it's dented, it's very fibrous. So you take out the top layer and then you slice it into fine pieces, just like this. Then what we have in here is radicchio. And radicchio, I have both the soft part and the more fibrous part toward the end. In addition to radicchio, what I've done, I've also used Belgian endive. Belgian endive and radicchio both are known as bitter greens. What's so unique about this combination of greens? These greens have by themselves a salty, bitter taste and they're very crunchy. And this gives the salad a unique combination. But what makes this salad really pop? The trick is in the onions. What have we done with the onions? Let me show you. Red onions, my favorite onions. See here what we've done, we slice them very, very thin. We have covered them with water in which we put a couple of tablespoons of vinegar. It could be any kind of vinegar you want. Then we let it sit for a few hours, and this is what we end up with. And why do we do this treatment to the red onions? Why is it so important? Well, we like to use them raw, and one of the things that's difficult when it comes to red onions, especially raw, they're fairly difficult to digest. This way, instead, makes it very, very easy. Let's take a look at the other ingredients that we have as well. Here what we have is olives, Sicilian-style olives, which we cut in half. And the next secret that I want to show you that is part of this as well is the orange sections. What we've done here is a treatment that the French chefs call la suprême d'orange. Do you need to be so fancy schmancy? Really, you don't. Why have I done it? I've done it this way because the first time I made the salad, I made it for my wife, and I wanted her to be impressed with how good I am with my knife skills. And she was. Eventually, she married me, so it did work for me. Let me show you how to assemble the salad. First thing we're going to do is add the bitter greens into the mix. Whichever amount you feel comfortable with, follow your instincts. It doesn't matter by color and what it is, but just follow your instinct. You're noticing that I'm using my hand. Why am I using my hand? I think that the hands that God gave us are the best tools. In this particular case, you really can make everything work out for you. So at this point, what I like to do is to put a little bit of salt, and then we also have a little bit of pepper. Here we go with it. We mix it real well. Then I take the onions, the red onions, and I sprinkle them on top. Together with the onions, a nice, good, healthy serving of the olives. And together with that, we do a little bit of the orange supremes, even though I will use some of those later for decoration. Now, there's one ingredient missing. What could that ingredient be? Sicilians are known for the flavor agrodolce, sweet and sour. If we could put sugar in just about everything, we would. And there is a reason why you put the sugar, because everything is so heavily salted, you just want the touch of it so that it flows. The next thing is to use a vinegar. You can go with balsamic vinegar. Right now is the most popular vinegar. But what I want to tell you is that white vinegar, in my opinion, is the best vinegar to use. There's also white balsamic vinegar that often you find at the store, if you can use that. So just a touch, no more than this. Extra virgin olive oil of the best quality that you can get. The last thing is unusual. You don't get to see it that often in the salad dressing, but what we have in here is freshly squeezed orange juice, and I like the pulp with it, which I want to add to it just so that it flows. At this point, the dressing is basically made, but the way in which we dress the salad is through our hands. And notice what I do. You want to control it so that all the ingredients have a showcase, that everything is properly caressed by the oil and the vinegar and the salt and the pepper and the sugar that we added to it is perfectly distributed. And here it is, the salad is finished. Now, let me show you how to plate it. What I like to do is to treat this as a series of layers. So what I do when I serve it for my customers or for my friends when they come to my house, I like to create little layers. So here's a little bit of the salad. On top of it, I like to put a couple of the orange sections and then a little bit of the olives. But there is a secret that you don't know about it. What we have in here is shaved Parmesan cheese. And I like to put pieces of shaved Parmesan cheese right in the first layer. Then I go ahead and I continue with another layer right on top of it. Now, tell you that when you bite into the salad, the thing that makes it very interesting is as you bite from one layer into the next layer into the next layer, you're assaulted by a whole complement of different flavors that come at you from all over. You have the sweet, you have the salty, you have the tart, and it's just splendid. So here we go with the last finish. I like to put a couple of extra pieces of orange in there, and to me the coup de grâce, il colpo di resistenza, is the cheese itself, because it's totally unexpected. You don't see it coming, and trust me when I tell you this, a little olive, a little bit of cheese, all of that mixed together into the salad not only brings to me these memories of my youth at the farm, my grandma in Sicily, but also it reminds me of the importance of understanding that it's not just cooking that's important, it's understanding the action and the reaction of the ingredients and how they come together and what they do for you. This This is a dream come true. Insalata alla Siciliana. And I must say now, in my maturity, I have a healthy appreciation for salads, not because they're just good for you, but because I love the way they taste. I love the way in which each one of the bitter greens has a flavor of its own, an aspect of its own. The ability is to be able to bring all these notes together and make them play as if it was music. And I must say that I make beautiful music with salad. And that is how we make Sicilian style.
Take a little break,
Ready?
Yeah, big smile. Excellent, excellent. Everybody out of the kitchen. Nick, failing your hair is in the shot.